Welcome back again to WWE Consoles, and this is the Monday Night Raw results for 30th of December 2013. So this is the review, and CM Punk music hits, and out comes with a big pop from Richmond, Virginia, with Michael welcoming us to the final Raw of 2013. Basically, Punk says that he's fired up to be here tonight, but he says that 2013 saw a lot of good things and a lot of bad things. Like, he talks about being champion, facing The Rock and The Undertaker, but then making friends and then losing friends, beating Paul Heyman and more. And he says that he can't honestly say, he can't really say that 2013 was Punk's year, but he talks about Shield's success in 2013 and saying that they have been unstoppable, and Punk wants to end the year right and start 2014 off on the right foot. And Punk has a proposition for the Shield, but then he's interrupted by the music, and then out they come through the crowd. Dean Ambrose takes the mic, and he wants to know that Punk was going to say, and he says that Punk may have said something better said something really good to say, and then fans chant that for Punk as he comes to face with the Shield, and Punk says that just one of them is the best. Ambrose says that this time he's not leaving the ring unless he takes a piece of Punk with him. And then Punk says that he was talking to Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins because he's already beaten Ambrose several times. Punk says it wasn't easy, but he did it. And then Ambrose says he gets a bit upset and then asks Punk if he's a joke. But then Reigns holds Ambrose back, and then Punk says he thinks that Ambrose is the weak link, and then Punk tells Reigns to look at him. Punk brings up how everyone always praises about Reigns, and then Rollins says he's the best, but he will fight Punk tonight. And Reigns and Rollins have some words about who will face Punk. Reigns says Rollins knows he is the man, and then a Reigns chant starts coming up from the crowd. And then the GM Brad Maddox comes out and then gets booed the hell out. Really, he just gets the booed from the whole crowd. And he wishes everyone a happy new year on behalf of the Authority. And then he announces Punk versus Rollins and calls for a referee to begin that match right now. And the winner for that match was CM Punk, pretty much, who nailed Seth Rollins with a GTS for the win. After the match, Punk poses on a stage as the Shield tries to figure out what happened. And then Brad Maddox, I'll give the whole segment and the match, I'll give the segment 2.5 stars, and I give the match a 3 out of 5 stars. It was a pretty good match, pretty decent start to Raw, I'd say. Then it was Brad Maddox backstage to a referee talking about tonight, and Triple H and Stephanie walk in, and then Brad mentions Kane is not here tonight, and he says that it's time he took a step forward. And Daniel Bryan walks in, and he says that he wants a match with Bray Wyatt tonight. Maddox says that Bryan needs to earn it. If he can beat Luke Harper, then he can face Eric Rowan, but if he can beat Eric Rowan, then he can have a match with Wyatt. Then Bryan walks off, and Stephanie is pretty impressed, and then Stephanie is going to go and announce a blockbuster news tonight, right now, for the Royal Rumble main event. And then she announces that it's going to be Randy Orton versus John Cena for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and she says that it's going to be a traditional championship match with no interference and no stipulations. So this is going to be a pinfall or a submission. And then and it's Curtis Axel versus Dolph Ziggler, and the winner was Dolph Ziggler because more back and forth reversals. And then Axel with a neckbreaker and a 2 count, and then Ziggler nails a zigzag out of nowhere while Axel was wasting time for the win and wins the match. And then it was ICC title match, Fandango versus Biggie Langston. This was a pretty good match. I give the Dolph Ziggler match, I give that 2.5 stars as well. And then the winner was Biggie Langston, basically Biggie with a clothesline, I don't know how to say that, and a splash now. Biggie drops his straps, and there was the big ending for the win. He completely squashes Fandango and beats him. It wasn't very interesting, so I give it 2 out of 5 stars. Then it's been announced that Raw goes old school next week, and now it's going to be CM Punk versus Roman Reigns for next week. It's going to be a pretty good match. And then Damien Sandow versus the Great Khali. This wasn't very interesting at all. Basically, Sandow ends up getting the win with a roll up, so I'll give that 2 out of 5 stars. R-Truth versus Brodus Clay. This wasn't very interesting at all, to be honest, either. So Clay is basically distracted by the by Cameron and Naomi dancing on the stage, and then Clay is distracted and runs into a elbow from Truth, and then Truth drops Clay for the win, and R-Truth wins the match. I give that 2 out of 5 stars. Then it got very interesting, basically this part when Triple H was going to head to the ring to announce a blockbuster news, but then out comes, out of nowhere, Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman come out to a huge pop and have returned. That's it. Lesnar and Triple H have shook hands. Brock Lesnar is back. I told you that he'd come back and attack Mark Henry. Well, I haven't really announced that part right now, but basically we're getting to it. Lesnar and Triple H shake hands. Triple H leaves the ring, and then Brock Lesnar has an announcement by Paul Heyman. Basically, Paul Heyman announces that the winner of the Orton versus Cena at the Royal Rumble will be a loser, because they will have to answer to the challenger of the self-declared #1 contender, Brock Lesnar. He doesn't care if it's Orton or Cena. Lesnar says nobody in this company can stop him, and Lesnar says he doesn't have to win the Royal Rumble to be deserving of a title match. He doesn't have to stand in some mysterious line for a title shot. The line starts with him, and he dares anybody to come and try to do something about it. What Lesnar wants, Lesnar takes, and the championship is for the taking. Heyman praises Lesnar for some more. Mark Henry's music hits, and out he comes with a huge brawl. Comes out, Henry hits the ring, and they start brawling outside the ring. Lesnar goes nuts and he dominates Mark Henry, tosses him over the barrier, and then Lesnar tackles Henry back through it, and then he hits a big F5 on the floor as Heyman talks him down to say no more. That's it, just no more. And I give that segment 3.5 out of 5 stars. A pretty good segment. That made it really at the edge of my seat when I actually saw Raw. And then it was the 10-man Diva match. I'm not really sure if that was very interesting as well, because I didn't even watch it. But Eve Marie, Bella Twins, Cameron and Naomi versus Caitlyn, Rosa Mendes, Aksana, Alicia Fox and Summer Rae. The winners were Aksana's team, and by basically Nikki knocks Rosa off the apron, but then Aksana takes the advantage and slams her for the win. And then it was probably the main event, Daniel Bryan versus Luke Harper. It was a quick match for Daniel Bryan. Basically what happened was that Harper, with chops in the corner now, Bryan lands on his feet from a suplex and nails a running knee for the match. Daniel Bryan versus Eric Rowan. So Eric Rowan. And then basically Daniel Bryan won that match too. Basically Bryan plays possum and rolls Ryan up out of nowhere and wins the match. And then it was the main event, the biggest main event, Daniel Bryan versus Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt completely talks trash to Bryan as the referee, makes sure he's ready to go. And then basically Daniel Bryan won the match by DQ. Basically the whole Wyatt family attacks Daniel Bryan, and after the bell, Rowan and Harper toss Bryan to the floor, whip him hard. And this part was pretty shocking as well. Basically what happens was that the whole Wyatt family was persuading for Daniel Bryan to join the Wyatt family for the past few weeks. And then Bryan says, "You're right," and then Bray tells him to say it again, which he does, and then Bray wants Bryan to get up and say it again, but the fans start a no chant. Bryan says no matter how many matches he won, no matter how loud the fans cheered for him, Bray was always right. The machine would never let Bryan win. And basically Bryan says that the fans have chanted yes at every building he's been to, but it doesn't matter. Bryan looks at Bray and says, "I'm yours," and the fans boo at Bryan and also Bray Wyatt as well. And then Bryan asks if he can join the Wyatt family. Bray extends his hand to help Bryan up, but then drops it and holds his arm out, and then kisses him on the forehead. And then he nails the sister Abigail as the fans boo, and Bray says this is forever, and they basically just run out the whole stage and then just get out. I'm not really sure. Pretty much that was it. Raw goes off the air. I'm not really sure if this was a heel turn or not. I'm not really sure, but it probably is not. But what Daniel Bryan's been saying kind of looks like a heel turn, but not really sure. It probably is not. But all we know, it's not going to be forever. And it was a pretty interesting Raw so far. John Cena wasn't in. Orton wasn't in. I don't know about Orton. I don't think Orton was in either. Probably was backstage, something like that. But it was an interesting Raw. Punk was there. So yeah, I want to hear your comments below. I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear your specific speculations about what you thought about this week's Raw. I'll give the whole matches, the Daniel Bryan matches, I give those a 3 out of 5 stars. Pretty good. Could have been much better, but yeah, it was pretty good. I thought Raw was a decent show, so I give it 2.5 stars out of 5. And yeah, I'll see you guys very soon. So rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.